wanted to record a quick little tutorial for everybody about how I took this picture. My wife won an award for having the best paper at a particular conference that she did. Yay, wife. And she needed a picture to use on her website, use on the university's website and everything like that. So she put this award on the stair and took a picture with her iPhone and the flash, and it was horrible. And of course, being a photographer, I can't stand that. So I decided I'll take the picture, and I ended up taking this particular picture right here. And I'd like to tell you a few things about how this picture was taken. One thing to tell you is the setup of the lighting. It's kind of an interesting setup, and here's some video of exactly how that went. That is the hot shoe connector that I used to connect to the light, and you'll notice the light is actually behind the award. And when you triggered the flash would go off and it would light up all that blue glass underneath there, and then it would also send enough light to bounce off that reflector and back onto the award. And that reflector was something I added after we got started, and I'll show you the progression that I went through with the images. This is the first image I shot, and it shows the importance of making sure the settings on your camera are where you want them to be before you start shooting. There were two things that were kind of way out of whack. One was that the ISO was set at 3200. This is because I've been shooting some video with it, and you really need kind of a high ISO to do that. And secondly, the white balance was set to fluorescent, and that was because I had just shot with a model, and I'd wanted to try this idea of shooting everything really, really blue. And so I had set my white balance on fluorescent, even though I was shooting in natural light. And that's where it was sitting when I picked up my camera and I shot this first image. So I quickly adjusted my shutter and my aperture to get something a little different, something along these lines. Now this is a little blurry, and it was still blue, and I'm like, oh no, I did the blue thing, I better fix that, and so I made something like this. In addition to trying to fix the color balance and the exposure, I was also working on the crop and the angle while I was doing all of this. And so the next thing I did, without even looking at the back of the camera to see how the tint had changed, I changed the angle I was shooting at and the angle of the plaque. I thought this made it a little more dynamic, but now I look down at the back of my camera and I realized I really didn't like the tungsten lighted yellowish color that I was getting. So I switched back to fluorescent. And now I'm looking at the camera and I'm thinking, boy, that's bright, and I can see all the background and it's way too lit and I can't read the text. I do need to fix that ISO thing. And I set my ISO to 100, my f-stop to 4, and that's what I got. Now it looks a little dark here in the picture. Maybe I can adjust the brightness just a little bit here, but that's kind of just where it was at. And actually that is right. That's actually where I wanted it. But so I'm going to now the problem is that all the light's behind the image and not in front, and so I need to light the front. And my first thought is, do I just have like a piece of paper that I could put up and stick next to it? And I didn't, but there was a box next to it. And what I ended up doing was setting that box next to it and seeing how it went. And I didn't like that it lighted just the bottom. And then I held the box up in the air, and then it lighted just the top, and I didn't like that lighting even worse. So then I kind of put it on the bottom again, didn't really work. Then I got a bigger piece, the piece of foam core that you saw. We set that up, and that lit the whole side, and then I just played with it just a little bit to get it to light like the whole edge of the award. And I played a little bit with making sure you could read the faceplate, and I had to get that just right, and when I did, I got the final image. It did get a little post. I adjusted some of the contrast and colors and the crop a little, and spent a lot of time cleaning up spots, both on my lens, which there were a few. Shining a light into your lens will show you where their spots are, and dust that was on the object. So I learned something about still life. Clean the object well. It's funny, I actually went and looked at the object afterwards at the plaque, and you couldn't really see it, but if you tilted it to the light just right, you could see all the dust that was on it. And I could see every bit of dust when I was doing the retouching. But anyway, I thought you might be interested in how exactly to shoot something like this and kind of the process that I went through. If you'd like more information about what I do, I'm at photographerandmodel.com. And you can check that out and subscribe to our podcast where we interview models and photographers on a weekly basis. And episode 100 is coming up soon, and you will not want to miss it. Until next time, I'm Ron Davis, and y'all keep creating beautiful images of beautiful models. Or random plaques.